Now, because you know how it is nowadays.
You don't just accost people on the street and ask them for their identification.
Yeah, but that's where it's going.
Yep.
In New York,
listen, we're not in New York.
It's already like that.
We're not in New York, we're in Rhode Island. Okay? The courts say, if you are stopped by the police for a legal reason, which this was a legal reason, you committed a traffic violation of some sort, we have the right to identify any passengers in the motor vehicle.
Yeah, but you know that in New York, they didn't have that law before.
We're not in New York.
I mean, but they didn't have it there. Just like they don't have it here, it might go there. If you don't use our rights, if you don't flex your rights, that's where it's going to go right there, Nazi Germany.
That's when you notify your state rep.
Now, pretty soon I'll be going down the street, walking around. Papers, please, papers. You know, that's where it's going. I'm sad to say about this is where it's going in this country. Man, when I was here, back when I first came in here, back in the 80s, the 90s, it was lovely to, here, but the way it's going now, I don't know if that was after 9/11 or what happened, but I just can't do anything anymore without having your papers, it's sad, it's sad. And I don't have anything too high or anything, but
not saying anything.
I don't know, but it seems like that. When you want to give out your name and ID, it seems like, there's all these red flags. What is he hiding?
No one person. This case that this side is talking about came from a state trooper asking for identification from a bus full of people. And the Supreme Court found out it was warranted. But they can ask for identification.
So even all those innocent people that were just there along for the ride, they have to go through all this hassle, give out their names, their date of birth, their social security, just because somebody else did something? We all have to pay for it? I mean, does that seem right? Now, if you're looking for a person driving the same type of car that was being looked for like a crime he committed, and was driving a car that's similar to this one, a red Civic, we're looking for that type of car, that's a wanted, and then you stop him for a car, then they go, all right, we stop somebody driving that same, I'm looking for somebody that's driving the same type of car, he's being looked for, he committed a crime, all right, I will understand that. But asking me all this because he was speeding, I mean, it doesn't go together. It makes no sense.
What's upset?
All right. So I'm just gonna, look that up. I'm not saying that you're lying, but I want to make sure for myself. Okay. No. Yeah, I'm gonna find that out because. Nah, I don't trust Google. I go straight for the source. You can't believe anything you read online. There's too many, like he says, too many lawyers online. They think they know everything, and then they tell you something that is not even true. Okay. Yeah, I have the phone number for the.
Search on there of obstruction of justice. Entire definition of the statute.
All right. And it's going to say if you're a passenger on a car and you get asked for the ID. You see? I want to see where it says that. I want to see where it says that. Stop worrying. If you get stopped, your passenger must, by law, give out his name and everything or go straight to jail. I want to see that.
Yeah, he's all set. Yeah, he's all set.
All right, man. Bye.
LCL Report is looking for advertisers. Do you have a product, service, candidate, or charity that would love to be spotlighted? Look at our numbers. Over 250,000 views this month. Over 700 subscribers this month. Multiple awards on YouTube. Over 500 subscribers to our Facebook group. There's pretty much nothing I won't do for a good story. If you want to know about rates, just email me. So support a business that supports liberty.
Really?
Is this going to be a YouTube thing? Yeah. Nice. Hi, welcome to LCL Report. This is Karen Lupo reporting. This is part 2 in a series of clarifications of some laws. I went to Georgia attorney Alan Lowe, who's a civil rights attorney, to have him straighten out a couple things. This next law we're going to be talking about is the situation that just happened with the motorhome diary fellas. Do you have to show an ID to a police officer? When do you have to show an ID? If you don't know what happened, these three guys were liberty activists. They go around basically in a motorhome around the country. They get pulled over in Mississippi because they have a temporary tag. The cop checks the tag, everything comes back fine, and he's got the driver out. He says, I want to see the other two people. After everything's been checked out fine,
Where are you?
the other two people come out,
Where'd you go?
and he asks one of them for an ID. The person says, why do you need my ID? I'm just a passenger, and we're checked out.
Somewhere.
And I want to see your ID. He goes, what probable cause do you
Where
have?
are you?
Next thing you know, the cop gets ticked off, puts him in a chokehold, bases him in the face and stuffs him in the cop car, and they go. And all three get arrested. So,
You're
I
the
want to find out
reason.
because there's this misconception, I think, and this unclarification of do you have to give an ID if a cop asks for one? Everybody seems to think you have to. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to let Alan Lowe answer. All right, Council Lowe, do I have to produce an ID if I am not driving a vehicle, or if a police officer requests it and I'm a passenger, or there's no probable cause?
Well, if there's no probable cause, then law enforcement officer does not have to stop because there has to be probable cause that a crime has been committed or that a crime is in the process for law enforcement officer to stop. So whether you're driving a car or walking down the street, if there's no probable cause, then the law enforcement officer, then it's illegal for that person to.
Do you actually have to produce an ID if you're not operating a vehicle or if you're a passenger?
Generally, no. Now, there are situations where there are authorized roadblocks that are looking for criminal, where they're stopping everyone. You can't single you out individually because they don't like the way you look.
Doesn't. Like, you get pulled over and you ask an officer, why am I being pulled over? And he doesn't give you a reason. You say, what probable cause do you have? He hasn't figured out what to give you yet. Then you don't have to produce an ID. Or if you're a passenger, you don't have to produce an ID. Or if you're walking down the street and there's no probable cause, you don't have to produce IDs. You do not have to cooperate with the police. Now, understand in real life that this is going to irritate a cop, and they're probably going to get very angry with you and do whatever they want anyway. They have this system where a lot of times they won't give you a reason until after they search the car and look around and you've been stopped in a cop car, and then you pull down the station and then they come up with a reason why they arrested you. So, that's a real breach of your rights to come up with a reason after the fact. Hopefully you've got everything on film. If you watch the first part, you should be filming any encounter you have to protect your rights. Now the second part of this is going to be, if you do get pulled over and you do not want the police to search your car, what rights do you have? Can you refuse to consent to a search? And when are they allowed to warrant the search? Counselor, can you refuse consent to have your car searched here in Georgia? Pulled over at a traffic stop, and explain to me how they justify warrantless searches.
Okay, well, it goes back. First of all, there has to be probable cause to stop a vehicle, for example, and to search that pursuant to the probable cause. The police can't just stop you and search your vehicle without any cause whatsoever. The Fourth Amendment requires two things. It requires that there be probable cause to conduct a search, and it also requires that the police officer obtain a search warrant. The courts have carved out well-recognized exceptions to the requirement of a warrant. First of all, if there are so-called exigent circumstances, that if the officer observes someone who officer may search vehicle, but only pursuant to probable cause. If the officer doesn't have probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed,
I'm trying to hide.